After my vacation to Universal Studios this year, the second movie I got to see was Jurassic World, and I gotta tell you, I was excited for it. I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan. Even though I feel Jurassic Park 3 is the worst of the now 4 Jurassic Park movies, I still did kind of like it, so overall, I have liked every single Jurassic Park film that has come out, even though 3 is easily the weakest. But we're not here to talk about Jurassic Park 3, we're here to talk about Jurassic World. As you all probably know, Jurassic World is set a few decades after the first Jurassic Park film, and now Jurassic Park has come to life. Basically, the vision of what Jurassic Park was supposed to be has now come true, and now it's a successful park. But the successful park has been there long enough that dinosaurs aren't as spectacular as you might think. It's gotten to a point where dinosaurs are just like any other zoo animals you see. If you've seen them, you've seen them. So in hopes to liven up the park and get some more customers, well, they decide to splice up a dinosaur full of tons of different genes, and now this Frankenstein-like dinosaur breaks free and chaos ensues. Now, I'm not the kind of person that thinks Jurassic World is one of the greatest films of all time, or even that it's one of the best movies this year, or that it's better than the other Jurassic Park movies, because quite frankly, it's not. But I still think it's a really good, a very solid entry to Jurassic Park. And I feel that it is probably the third best, very close behind Lost World, and of course the original one being my absolute favorite. What makes it a solid entry to the Jurassic Park franchise is that it feels like it has the same themes, the same exact stuff you would expect a Jurassic Park film embedded into Jurassic World. Now, am I saying those themes are fully developed and as spectacular as the other films? No. But the themes are there, the idea is there, and there's enough in it that makes Jurassic World a good, solid entry to the Jurassic Park franchise. Now, what Jurassic Park World does excel at, and what might make people consider this better than Lost World and this the second best Jurassic Park movie, is that it is very fun. You get escaped dinosaurs, panic as people are trying to escape, you get carnage, and you get dino fights in this movie. Yeah! In all honesty, I think it's just as fun, or maybe even more so, than Furious 7. Not as fun as Mad Max, though. Mad Max is definitely way cooler. Now, one of the things that I don't feel Jurassic World is as good at is the characters. And some of the characters pretty much feel like recreations of other characters from the other 3 movies. You got your John Hammond character, who is the owner of the park, and he's a little bit more laid back, but he thinks of the people and he thinks of the awe that dinosaurs can inspire. Chris Pratt's character is pretty much like the dinosaur hunter in the first film, mixed with a little bit of Star-Lord. And speaking of which, Chris Pratt is really good in this film. He doesn't rely too much on humor, and he's pretty much a badass. You can easily see there is heart in him, and he does care about specific things, and I gotta say, he was probably the best part of the movie. You even get a bad guy from Engine, which makes sense because ever since Lost World, they've pretty much been the bad guys. And in this one, it's kind of weird, but I'm not too upset with it, but I can see why some people might not like it as much. And Engine is interested in the raptors because they want to make them as weapons, because the raptors are being trained. So, yeah. I think one of the worser characters was Bryce Dallas Howard's character. Now, I wasn't too annoyed with her at the beginning. A lot of people say they were completely annoyed with her. She was too stereotypical. She's the kind of person that's too into her job and she's oblivious to everything else, and she wants to be... she's really uptight, basically. But I didn't mind her at the beginning. I got it. I've seen plenty of those characters. She wasn't too bad. What I don't like as much is this crazy total 360 for her character. Alright, I get it. It has to be done at some point in the movie, but the way they go about it is completely crazy. It's almost like she just immediately becomes this tightwad and then turns into a badass character within a few scenes. Like, it's like boom boom. There's like not as much progression to that type of character. And I get it because she has to care about the kids that are there, because the two kids in this film that you've been seeing in the trailer, they are the nephews of Bryce Dallas Howard's character. And so, of course, when they're in danger, she's going to realize that, oh my god, I've been ignoring them this whole time, I need to help them. But I think the way the film goes about it is that it's a little too extreme and too over the top, to the point where I don't care, I don't even notice these kids at all, I don't care that much, and then suddenly, boom, they're in trouble, gotta go. But when it's all said and done, it's not that bad. It's not so bad to a point where the movie is awful. Okay, so I guess I have to talk about the kids now. The kids, I don't know, I didn't really care much about them, and that's because they just weren't as interesting. Now, there are plenty of scenes that I love that the kids are in, and it's from their perspective, so I know why they are so important, and I'm glad they're in it, just so we can see some of the scenes that they're in. Because through their eyes, you get to see what the park is like. You get to see Jurassic Park finally. And I think the way the park was handled and the attractions that it had, it felt like a legit theme park. I can totally buy it as realistic because it feels like everything in it, like the shops and the little baby petting zoo and the attractions, it all felt legit, and it felt like if you've been in any zoo or any theme park, you would know that, oh, that reminds me of that, and that reminds me of that, and it feels like a legit theme park, and I gotta give it credit for that. And again, if the kids weren't in it, if you didn't see it through a tourist perspective, you probably wouldn't have got any of that, because it might have just done an overview shot or something, and it wouldn't feel as grounded. And there is also another really good, very nostalgic scene that the kids are in, and I love that scene. I know it tugged on my heartstrings because it was just so nostalgic. But another thing I didn't like about the kids, since I'm still on the subject, is their little subplot. It's just sort of thrown in there. Basically, one of the kids finds out that the parents might be getting a divorce or something, and that he's Googled the divorce papers or something. I don't know how. But anyway, the parents are getting a divorce, and so he's crying, and they're on the train, and the older brother finally stops being a dick and stops being more interested in teenage girls and tries to comfort his younger brother. And that scene's a little awkward. At least it makes the teenager not a complete douche. But nothing happens after that. They never go back to the possible divorce. They never show the family really happy and maybe not get a divorce. It's like nothing comes from that information. It's like it's there and then nothing. Now, I think what really adds to the fun as well, other than the dinosaur action and some of the great scenes, I think what really helps with the fun, at least for me, was that it's clear that this director has great respect for the other Jurassic Park films. There are so many little Easter eggs and so many things that are shot in a similar way to the other Jurassic Park films that it's clear he's a fan. And I think that added a little bit more fun, and because it didn't feel like he's copying or relying too much on the other movies to help with his movie. It feels like a legitimate Easter egg, and it feels just like something that it just feels like nostalgia. Now, I like the idea of the spliced up dinosaur, and I kind of was hoping it would be a little bit more unique. I mean, it's still different from the other dinosaurs, but it doesn't feel too much like a Frankenstein monster, or it doesn't feel too unique to the point where you can see what other dinosaurs it was spliced with. Instead, it pretty much seems like a gray T-Rex almost. But I love the concept of the dinosaur. I liked how it explained why it's such a killing machine and why it just kills indiscriminately. And it's mainly because it's raised in captivity in a certain way that it's all alone in isolation. No other dinosaurs could interact with it. No humans did, and it pretty much became crazy. But yeah, there's like little hints of ideas and little moments like that where it feels realistic, and it implies knowledge of other animals in real life and their captivity and what kind of things they go through and how it can make them aggressive. And it puts it into this with dinosaurs, and it feels right, and it's little things like that that help its realism, even though it's a movie about dinosaurs. And there were two things I was a little worried about when I saw the trailer. There were two moments where, and I know because a lot of people said the same thing, they felt that was ridiculous, and another thing was ridiculous in the trailer, and just like, come on, really? That's really gonna happen? And those two things are the raptor training and the spliced up dinosaur communicating with other dinosaurs. Those two things I was really worried about when I saw in the trailer, but honestly they're handled amazingly well in this movie. Raptor training feels realistic. They could still turn on Chris Pratt on a dime, and it's pretty much like you would tame lions or some other carnivorous beast that does get trained by humans. And there's a pack mentality. There's a lot of it that does make sense, and it feels realistic because it's not like they're pets or anything. They could still rip your face off if they get angry with you, or if you're not part of the pack and they just want to eat. And then the dinosaur communicating with other dinosaurs, that made sense when it came to this film because it's a certain DNA that it's spliced with, and I don't want to give too much away. But unfortunately, if you've seen the trailer, you know that it's going to communicate, and when it gets to a point where it's because it's spliced with a certain DNA of a dinosaur, then it's going to ruin it. You're going to be able to come to certain conclusions. Now, there's only one major issue with Jurassic World which can make you absolutely hate the film. And I know plenty of people that feel that Jurassic World was really lame because of this. But basically, the trailer of the film gives away way too much. If you have seen the trailer to Jurassic World, I kid you not, you will know at least 2/3 of the movie. And there is 2/3 of the movie that there's no surprises, you know everything, and it's because you've seen the frickin' trailer. So I don't really want to give Jurassic World a bad score because it's not its fault that the trailer gave things away. It's this other company that made the frickin' trailer in the first place. So when there's a bad trailer, when there's a trailer that gives too much away, I don't want to blame the film, I blame the frickin' trailer. That's not to say there are predictable moments in Jurassic World. There are some predictable moments that you can figure out without the trailer. And one of them is a death that is very easy to tell. You can figure out how they're going to die because it would be the most ironic way for them to die. And sure enough, they die that way. Now, another thing I was worried about because of the trailer was the CGI, because it looked like an over-reliance on CGI dinosaurs. And what's good about the other films is there's a good mixture of animatronic and CGI dinosaurs, and they look just as good as... They look like they could be the same thing. Like some of the CGI on the other movies looked exactly like the animatronics to a point where it's hard to tell the difference unless you're really, really looking for it. And I gotta say, there might have been other times where animatronics were used. I know one time for certain because I thought, man, that is way too good of CGI. It's gotta be animatronic, is it? And so I looked it up and it was, and I was like, all right, that explains it. And because there's this animatronic of a Apatosaurus, I think. It's one of the long-necked dinosaurs. And it's dying, and it gives a little bit of homage to the Triceratops that was sick in the first film. I was thinking maybe that was animatronic, but it was done in a way where it looked just like any of the other CGI dinosaurs, and I have to give the CGI credit for that because it actually was really good. If I just throw away all of the predictable moments based off of the trailer and look at it look at the flaws, there is not enough flaws to consider it a bad movie or even an average movie. I think it's a really fun, good movie, and I'm a little on the fence. I kind of want to give it 4.5, but some of it is more of a 4, and this is one of those moments where I kind of wish I did do quarter stars, but I don't. And to be fair with all the other movies I was a little bit more on the fence with this year, I'm going to have to give Jurassic World 4 stars, even though it's more of a 4.25 for me, you know. Maybe next year I will give in and do the quarters, but since I didn't do quarter stars for any of the other movies this year, I might as well be fair to everything and give it 4-star rating. But maybe next year I'll add quarters. So did you see Jurassic World? Chances are you probably have, because it's got a frickin' huge box office. God, everyone's going to see that movie. I think it actually passed Avengers by now, both domestically and worldwide. So that's maybe not worldwide. Maybe Avengers are still ahead of them, but I'm not sure. But it is definitely the movie to go see, I guess. Which I really wish Mad Max Fury Road was. Please go see that if you haven't seen it yet. It is a frickin' amazing movie. Anyway, if you are one of the few people that haven't seen Jurassic World yet, then what is your favorite Jurassic Park movie? Wow, I think that's pretty simple to answer. Mine's easily the first film. I highly doubt that there are too many people that would say number 2 or 3 is their favorite Jurassic Park movie. But as always, this is Bruce Gifford, and this was Just My Opinion.